right now. This meeting's being recorded, and my name is Ann Mazar, and this is a land use committee meeting on January 14th, 2025. Yeah, and why don't we go around and introduce ourselves?
Sure, I'm Elena Brugos. I'm the select board member of the committee.
Right?
Frank Nero, land use member.
Nick, do you want to introduce yourself?
His mic is muted.
Yeah, I don't know, like, if he wants it muted or what. Sounds like somebody just came in, so why don't we wait 1 minute? Sounds like Carolyn's walking.
Yes, you are right.
Yes. Hi.
Hello.
This is new.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not, it's my first time in the room since adding that, and it's
Yeah.
fun because you can see out, but you can't see
Yeah, it
in.
is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So we started the meeting, figured we had a quorum,
Yeah, great.
so we just introduced
Go
ourselves.
for it.
You want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Carolyn Barthel, alternative.
Yep. Okay. Did you all have a chance to check the minutes?
I did not have a chance to fully read them, but I quickly went through them now.
Okay. Did you get a chance to look at the minutes? Hi, Peter. Hello.
Thank you. How are you?
This is Peter Coffin representing the Conservation Commission. I see Barry is here. Hi, Barry. And he represents the Planning Board. We're just looking over last meeting's minutes. You had a chance to do that, Peter?
I did usually.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I just had trouble getting on.
Okay. Did you say you did look at them?
I did briefly.
Okay.
Did not.
Did.
Good for you.
Now I've
Fresh.
skims, yes. I'd eyeballed them, but not been able to read the whole page.
Would someone like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll move to accept the minutes of our last meeting, the date, which is
October 22nd.
October 22nd.
Second.
Was that our last meeting?
Yeah, I think that's.
It's like a lifetime ago.
Any discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call vote. All those in favor?
Brugos, aye.
Peter, I.
Barry?
I don't know why.
Frank, I.
Okay,
And Barry, I.
okay, so, and
Unanimous.
I guess.
And I'm not, if everyone's here, then you're fine.
Okay. So the next item is to discuss the public hearing, and we're having it. What was the date that was finally picked?
Is it first
in
first
March.
Wednesday of March, I
I
think.
believe so.
So that's March 5th.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Public hearing for, sorry.
It is, I'll tell you in 1 second. It's not like a required, but it's a public hearing to go over the 5-year,
Comprehensive plan or the
yes. land
open
use
space
plan.
and recreation, or it's a land use plan.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than the open space because we also include business and residential development and.
So this is a separate plan that we're responsible for, that is separate from the town's master plan?
I mean, it all kind of coordinates and.
Should be, and I don't mind hitting it, coming at it a couple different ways, as long as that.
And we're actually, they're redoing the general bylaws, and so one of the things that I would like to
Who's
do,
the they?
it is, well, it's like the town.
There's a committee, there's a, yeah, a
Committee.
committee, right, a newly formed committee. So Tom Morelli is chair as our town moderator.
Right.
And then there's also Carl,
Hubble.
yes, thank you, from conservation. And I know at least a couple, right, Joanne Lamousse.
Christina Campbell, I think.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. And there might be a fifth one. No, I
Did you
can't
say Tom
remember.
Morelli?
Yeah, he's chair.
Right.
And the sense I got is they're open to anybody have any questions about existing bylaws, right? So it's a fresh look.
Yes, and I believe they even set up a Google form
Mhm.
so that people, or not, maybe it's a Teams form, I'm not sure, but they set up a web form where people could request that specific aspects of the bylaw be considered for review. So is that what you used, Anne, or did
I
you?
did, and so I suggested that the land use committee section get updated because that was put in before we had the CPA. And so, I mean, I just make this public hearing a CPA, 5-year land use plan, public hearing, because they, overlap so much. And I'm not exactly really sure what I'll do. But I do think that, the public hearing is a good idea to, put it out to people. If they have ideas for land use or CPA and actually I'd like to put something in the free press to let people know about it. And I'd like to use land use funds to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, just for beating a dead horse, but
Yeah.
we're required to update the land use plan every 5 years, right? Or so
I mean, well, that's-
is it a separate? It should almost be separate from the master plan. It's that component that. So I don't know. So,
Well, it's like, I mean, we have the open space and recreation plan that gets updated every 7 years.
okay, that's yeah.
And then this sort of parallels that, but then we also have the 5, which is help guide business and residential development to shape Mendon's growth, avoiding haphazard development, following the recommendations in the Mendon master plan.
Right, and arguably each year we should have an annual report to the town meeting. I don't know if there's.
We do,
Yeah,
we do, every year we have to vote at the town meeting, and it's actually part of that consent calendar where it happens every year and nobody even questions
That's a good
it, so it's sort of. But anyways, so the public hearing, that information, I wanna get it out into the free press in February to let them know that it's happening in March, and it happens at a select board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I don't think
we
it's-
had done a hearing, was that was for a different one, like a couple years
Same thing.
ago? Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
same one, last
So-
year you were the one that,
Right, so how often do we do it's every
Every
year we
year.
have the hearing?
Just once a year.
Okay, once a year we have the hearing for the 5-year land use
and it's
program. Okay.
before the annual town meeting, so in case somebody had an idea of something, that it could actually make it an annual town meeting. But, what I always say is everyone's welcome to come to the land use committee meeting or the CPA committee, committee meeting. And, that, especially with CPA funds, everything has to get voted at town meeting, so it's, everyone has that opportunity to, vote. Frank, did someone else want to say something? No?
No.
Not really, but I was gonna ask, so that's for the 5-year land use plan? You
Yeah.
mentioned-
Did you see it in the materials I sent out? I can
I'll-
read do you want me to read the 5 basic,
Goals.
yeah,
I only asked for the minutes, but if you want to expand on that.
okay, well, I sent them to you in a Word document, so you should be able to cut and paste or, anything from that. But, I mean, I can just read the goals fast, and then they have, objectives below it, but improve access to open space and recreation resources is 1. 2, expand the amount of and improve the condition of passive and active recreation opportunities. 3, protect the natural resources in Mendon, including forests, farmlands, water resources, and wildlife habitats. 4, promote and preserve Mendon's sense of community. 5, help guide, the other one I read about the business. And,
So the goals aren't going to change. Arguably, the objectives should kind of maybe each year we might want to update them, but I'm not sure how much.
they're pretty general,
The objectives.
yeah,
I do have a question.
Yeah.
With my coming on, you wanted to include energy.
mhm.
Is it appropriate or is necessary to include the energy into the title or include something in there about that? I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah. Yeah, so this committee has sort of picked that up.
I'd be
But-
reluctant to
Yeah.
expand the goal of, I don't know, that's maybe more political, but you can throw everything into land use, right? And so energy and housing,
Right.
those are special enough that they need somebody, so that's weird logical entity, but I'm not sure.
I mean, potentially, could that be expanded on in the description of the committee in the town bylaws? Like,
It could,
to fold that in?
I mean, the thing about the energy is that, I mean, green communities is kind of like the focus. And now we have 10 hours with Isabella. And so, she's the person that we would work with and assist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's also like
There's a
housing.
whole new category beyond the green communities now.
Yeah,
The climate leadership program
Right.
that the state has.
Arguably, it seems if we wanted this committee to take on this formally and expand it should come from the select. Because we're kind of driven by the CPA, which
Yeah.
energy is not in there. So it's like, what's our mandate?
So, I mean, this committee is written into the general bylaws.
Yes.
So like, I feel like the select board could potentially sponsor bylaw changes, which I think the idea of the bylaw review committee is that they will advise about a number of potential bylaw changes, and then the select board would, I believe, be like the sort of the sponsoring, or like the sponsoring party to put it on the warrant.
the general.
Yeah,
Well, here you
so-
go. Then we should put on the bylaw review, this committee's makeup, and then use that as an opportunity to have this discussion and
Yeah,
see if it flies and know it's okay, or yes, we
Right.
want to change, or I don't know.
I guess, yeah, I mean, I would be, just personally, I would be in favor of like having this goal explicit somewhere in, in the town documents, that like this is something that sort of, as it's been a bit informally, this group involved with but I think, I don't know, I mean, I think depending on, what the voters feel like, it seems like it's a goal that I think is compatible with a number of other things that the voters have supported.
Yeah.
So so I think, I mean, it's an interesting question. So, but whether we can sort of jump in and change this when it's sort of like, I don't know, I mean, the bylaw that talks about this committee, it's quite a few years old, right? So like you said, it's before we had the CPA.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
so-
before 2000 or whatever. yeah.
Right.
So it's time
Oh,
to
wow.
look
Yeah.
at a new view. We
Wow.
don't have to act
25
like
years old.
we Continue doing what we're doing, but it's
Yeah.
take an opportunity to get other people's input.
I'm just raising the question, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a great question to ask, because I think, yeah, I mean,
And then who should be the supervisor for the staff doing that? Isabella, so, it's not gonna be the Concom, so is it us, who's the energy?
Energy is going to be more a focus for towns
Mhm.
and yeah.
As is housing, all these are needs thrust upon us.
Well, I mean, like, the way I've sort of looked at the land use is how we're using our land, so housing fits in that, open space fits in that. Sense of community, because of, how you're developing the town. And, I mean, energy does to some degree, especially if you're, like when you do have some solar farms or whatever.
Yeah,
Well, if you had a sixth goal, how would you state that?
Something along the lines maybe of sustainability, so you can get at other things like infiltration or stormwater improvements and or energy, just under that rubric of
Right.
big a reasonable.
sustainability,
And that's
green.
yeah.
The existing, like, goal 3, protect the natural resources, I mean, to some extent, it does dovetail with that, there are different types of.
Electricity is not a natural resource, but yeah.
Well, but like, potentially, I think changing our, like, energy uses protects natural resources less
Yes,
directly.
an effect of good
right,
would be
right.
improved, yes.
So it's not as sort of direct as,
Direct
paying
land
attention to where
use.
the stormwater is running off, but like, it's, not, and it's, but I think energy usage certainly has an, we know it has an environmental impact, so.
Yeah.
But it,
What's the cart and what's the horse?
right.
I don't know, Barry, what do you think, or Frank?
I think it's an important issue, but we're the land use committee and it might be limited to the use of land to maybe promote or encourage or otherwise um, manage the energy use and the sustainability, but I don't know if it covers maybe some of the things that are outside of land use. So as it relates to land use, I think it certainly applies. I don't know if we exceed our authority if we are unless the Board of Selectmen or the bylaws are updated. And so I would support it as it relates to land use. But if we go any further, I think we'll either need to have an update to the bylaws or something along those lines. I don't want to split the hair, but we're a land use committee as it relates to the uses of the land to promote sustainability and energy efficiency, but not just exclusively energy, as it may not relate to land use. Does that make sense?
Like the energy code or something.
Well, and I mean, now they are changing the bylaws, updating them, so, maybe this is the time. I know, like, on my signature, I say that I'm the chair of the land/energy use committee because we don't have an energy committee.
Well, let's discuss that.
Right, so, I mean, that could be a proposal, right, to change not just the description of the land use committee, but potentially also the title to bring in some that land use and energy, or land use and community or sustainability, right, like, so, right, to fold that into a title along with the description.
I mean, I guess that, I don't know, like, but Barry, do you want to say something?
No, I'm just trying to get through this cold.
I mean, like, in an ideal world, you'd have a separate energy committee, you know what I mean, that's a distinct,
Sustainability committee.
right, but
You would.
we don't, so in one way, I feel like we shouldn't change the bylaw, but I kind of like the idea of adding a sixth thing about sustainability and maybe mentioning energy in it, but not,
Or it could be something just in a bylaw change, okay, add that other component, but then in a kind of just have the selectmen or somebody make decision that the chair of this committee is also has guidance over the energy grants, so that it's what we're already doing, and it's acknowledging, and then we'll see if we need to expand it in the future. Or you're right, no, have a separate thing for housing, for energy.
well,
I mean, what is your reluctance in actually not changing the name? Is it because it feels like it's doing it too quickly or too soon, or is it
My reluctance is it's taking on it's
I mean,
broadening, and so you're kind of weakening. If you take on everything, then you don't focus on anything.
but the thing is we are doing that.
Yeah, and there's no other committee that is taking that on,
And I
think, I feel like I see the point that it would be great to have another committee, but we have so many committees now and people are spread really thin. So like, we've been trying to get this, recreational field committee off the ground. And I think we're starting to get some nibbles on that, but it's a process, and we have so many vacancies on a number of boards and committees. So I think you know, I love the idea of having another committee if we knew we had like people in the wings ready to fill it, but my concern is that we don't, and I mean, I guess well, one thing is like, if there's a bylaw change, it ultimately goes to the voters.
Right.
Anyhow, so like we can craft a proposal potentially.
Well, I wonder like if instead of like the energy committee, what if it was the energy/sustainability committee? You know,
So get rid of land use totally?
no, well, land/sustainability.
Sure, yeah,
committee.
Yeah, sustainability and that, yeah, I like that idea because that does encompass some of the things that are
Skip
already
the energy
in
part and
the
just do
explicit.
sustainability. Is that what you're suggesting, Ann?
Yeah, not skipping the energy, but having, you know, we're doing the energy.
Right,
Yeah,
And call it
but
sustainability.
sustainability, right,
It
energy
encompasses
fits well
more.
into that.
And it
Yeah.
fits with the land use and
Yes.
open
Mhm.
space and it kind of,
Mhm.
and then, you know, if, let's say, Isabella ends up, or someone ends up getting more hours, maybe they will start an energy committee, but at least like right now, I feel like
Transition.
that kind of encompasses it, and maybe we can add a sixth goal to that.
I love that
Yeah.
idea.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with recognizing the current reality of people not jumping forward.
Mhm.
But recognizing that we also need to start to think in slightly different or shape of some of our expectations about how we operate as a town
Mhm.
sustainably.
Mhm.
New boxes, new challenges, new commitment.
So if we said something like sustainable land, energy, and something. I mean, that would be three things, but.
For the sixth goal,
Mhm.
well, I mean, I think, can you fold in some things about like the green community goals? Like in the, you're talking about like, so, and specifically about adding a sixth goal to this.
I'm gonna just alert you though, we're currently at the green community status, we have that, great. But that now that there are nearly 300 out of 351 towns that are doing this, the state has started a new program called the Climate Leaders Program, which is the next level up.
Okay.
And of course, just the way we had to pass the stretch code, there will be an opt-in specialized stretch code, and there are other kinds of things, and one of those is to form a sustainability committee. And so,
I see, okay.
So there's a parameter of six requirements.
Can the sustainability committee be combined with another committee?
Yeah,
I think that would be probably, moving into it, that, I'm sure that the state is having to recognize that towns need to kind of move into this new field in different ways.
My sense is if you could just craft something broad about sustainability.
Well, that's right, yeah.
And not be too explicit what it means.
I think, like what Carolyn, I think what you're saying is that we don't want to say green communities because
Okay,
now.
well, but I mean, right, but so
limits us.
I guess maybe, but some of those goals, like, right, doesn't have to be sort of explicitly about those goals, but like, some of the goals, like, that are sort of embodied by the green communities.
Yeah, I mean, it's bringing to the forefront more of how energy is used in each town.
Okay, so like an education component about?
So the fact that we've had energy in there is fine. And adding sustainability certainly kind of complements it very nicely. I don't know that you really need to have what have you got so far?
Well, I said promote sustainable, say, land and energy use.
And sustainable,
or does the word
energy and
support sustainable practices through, I don't know, something and
Well, I mean, we could say something.
just sustainable and then
Promote sustainable, let's say you said, promote sustainable land, energy, and other practices.
management practices.
and
Because that gets it.
I mean, I'm trying to think of something general, but then it sort of encompasses what we're doing. But then if another committee starts,
Why don't just the land, energy, and sustainability practices?
okay,
There you go.
okay, promote land, energy, and sustainability practice, but what is promote land? mean? I mean, like promote,
Well, you are.
Well, you need
You're
an
doing it all the
adjective.
time.
You need an adjective.
Right, yeah, I agree, yeah, like.
Not
promote-
beneficial, we're already using sustainable, naturally based, or appropriate to small town rural character.
we already have that in there.
I'm trying to come up with an adjective, I'm struggling, but,
I don't,
I guess that's why I said promote sustainable land and energy use. Or you can say land, energy, and,
and I'm trying to get
And
to use sustainability as the noun, and then so what adjectives can apply to that? So for land use, what is this, and then if we're considering land use and energy and sustainability as the three
yeah,
goals.
just,
So we just need
that's it.
adjectives.
I don't really need one.
but it sounds weird to say promote land, energy, and sustainability. You know what I mean? Like it needs to
So what's
say
a synonym for sustainability?
What seems odd to you?
that, because what's promote land?
Right,
It doesn't mean anything.
promote
You
land,
need a goal.
but you, so, right, cause you, like, you want something that means like promote sustainable land use and sustainable energy.
And that's
use.
why I put it at the beginning, yeah.
Well, you could have sustainable, okay, so you're saying sustainable land and energy use. That would work. That would work. I mean, the sustainable complement, modifies both.
I have a comment, Ann.
Yes,
Similar to my prior comment, I think it is within our purview to discuss energy as it relates to land use. I think that if we are discussing energy issues that don't relate to land use, I don't know if we exceed our authority. And that's why I suggest, and I think it's important, I don't know that putting it in the 5-year land use plan magically puts it within our purview. And that's why I say either a amendment to the what the land use oversees, changing names is all well and good. I'm just thinking about our authority to deal with energy issues that may not relate to land use. So again, I don't know if I'm splitting a hair, but my point is that I think our authority to make those recommendations should be memorialized somewhere.
right. So they've invited me to the general bylaw committee. So the reason I think that if we added some wordage into our goals, that's what I would bring to the bylaws so that it would be official because we're doing it anyways. And so I feel like we should just round the committee out more and have it in the general bylaws. So
That was my point, yes.
Yes, and I agree with you, Frank, but let's not add another energy now. Let's use this opportunity to modify the bylaw, to add that as a scope to this, and then next year we can add on, get the wording right, because we're already doing the work, right? So I would not want to memorialize it in the plan unless we have to. So, but memorialize the change and give us the authority and then give us a year to actually.
Okay, but I'm gonna raise this question, if you don't, if in changing the bylaws, you don't actually create the opportunity to have the authority, then how do you get it?
Well, we're saying
Yeah,
we would.
I think there are like two different things here
Okay.
that are a little bit, I think there's overlap. So one is the land use, like the public hearing, we're gonna have this 5-year land use plan. And then the other is the bylaw changes. So to some extent, like what we would have the hearing about is, I mean, maybe the suggestion that I think Frank was saying was we don't add that in for what we're having the public hearing about for this year. But
Yeah,
then,
yes,
but
that's-
necessarily, right,
Yeah.
so like just to and then, but at the same time, we have sort of like draft B, which is to be part of sort of the package of materials to go to the bylaw review committee for proposal for like, this is what we envision this committee being in the future, and this would encompass,
Yeah.
the second version. So I think, right, so there's potentially,
So that, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
oh, I might be.
So this hearing is for the bylaws, right?
No, it's for the
No.
plan. The
Oh.
bylaws is a
Yeah.
separate thing, but it's going on at the same time, concurrent.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
no,
right.
that's right.
I think the order makes sense that we do the bylaw and then the plan next year. And Barry, what do you want to say?
I don't understand where we're going with this, because I've been on this committee since 2008. We started as land use, then green communities came in and we decided to absorb that. As
Right.
far as the energy stuff, I mean, that's something that you decided to take on. That's not something the land use committee discussed or took on. That's something that you did yourself. So
Well, we
as far as this-
discussed it. I mean, we discussed it at the land use committee and no one
Sorry?
else. I said we, discussed it at the land use committee many, many times and, we worked on it. And one of the requirements of that was to have an energy committee, but we, as a land use committee, decided we're doing it, so why don't we continue to be that energy committee? But we never did anything formally.
Right.
So,
Well, this is the opportunity to make that formal, so I think
I think you're gonna
bring
muddy
it-
the waters between land use committee and an energy committee, myself. I mean, I
So I
think.
did-
I
he's
think they
saying
should
it's
be
money
kept
the
separate.
waters.
I see.
I mean, I guess that's why I was, I like the idea of the sustainability because that fits very much with land use. And then we can continue doing what we're doing, now work with Isabella, who has hours to do this, but at least maybe we could give her some support. But then if there ever is an energy committee,
Right.
that could be separate if there were people that wanted to do that, but right now there aren't.
But we don't know,
We don't
wait,
know.
is that,
Well, we've tried, let's say,
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
haven't had any success. And, you're not filling the spaces on committees. But I mean, if people were interested in having an energy committee, then that would be amazing.
it would be,
And, but in the meantime, I sort of would like to encompass it in the land use committee in some general format.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind a bylaw change for this committee, recognizing just that history. Energy is not really land use, but because there was no other place, this committee was the best one available. And so going forward, we'll continue to do that, but ideally, it should have its own. So it's almost like we're going forward on that.
There should be definitely an ultimate goal someday, at some point. Yeah.
I think it should be kept separate.
What, Barry?
I think it should be kept separate. I think land use should be separate and the energy committee should be separate, but they can be the same committee. There's no reason why the people on the land use committee can't be on the energy committee.
Oh,
There
I
you
see
go.
what
I
you're
like that.
saying.
That way the agendas don't get muddied up and the purposes don't get muddied up and,
So I'm sorry, so what?
So the first half of the meeting would be the land use committee, and the last half would be the energy committee. Same meeting, same people, different agenda.
Interesting, yeah, that's the model, that's the model that the historic commission and the historic district commission use. They basically have overlapping membership, and so they have
Different authorities.
joint meetings effectively, and then, but it's the same
Same people.
people voting on it, but like from
In
two different committees.
different capacities.
Right, exactly.
Well, and also Barry kind of going that direction, then maybe that would be when Isabella would attend a meeting, and give us an update on,
Right.
what, help she might need or whatever.
Right, it doesn't have to meet every time.
Right,
The
so
land use is
not every land use committee would necessarily have to, well, although
As
we'd
needed.
except we'd have a quorum, so. So there would be a quorum, if it's completely overlapping, if we meet as a land use committee, we would have a quorum of energy committee, so like,
Well, I mean, I guess,
They're two separate meetings. They just meet at the same time.
Right.
So,
You just-
and,
You adjourn one,
it's-
adjourn one, we call the next one to order.
That sounds complicated.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
But he said,
You adjourn the first meeting and you call the second one to order.
Yeah,
but if you do that, then you really have to set up a whole nother committee, you know what I mean?
I mean, I think I think these are, like, I guess I have questions about like open meeting law that would relate to that because. But any, like, whether it would need to be like, like joint meetings all the time.
no, it's separate meetings, separate committee. I don't.
Well, but I mean, but
You would have
if
to
you
set up
have a
separate
quorum of a committee, well, I don't know, like, I feel like I would have this, the question I have has to do with open meeting law and like
Mhm.
maybe our town clerk would have some guidance there.
Well, how does the historic districts,
They always, it's the
It's
same
separate.
meeting.
But they also have separate committees, so.
they have separate committees and I bet they have separate agendas, right? I don't
They may
know.
have
That's
separate,
us.
they may have separate agendas, but I don't think, I don't know, we can,
Let's find
but
out.
yeah, we can look into that, right, yeah.
I guess what I was saying before is that in an ideal world, we would have a separate energy committee, they would help Isabella.
Yeah.
And the energy coordinator, and that would be a separate thing, but it's not, and I can't see it happening in the near future,
We're not
but
there yet.
maybe. So what I would like to add is something in the land use committee on sustainability,
Mhm.
so that it's sort of in our purview, but it's not necessarily saying that there can't be a separate energy committee.
Well, let's bring it up to the bylaw review and have a discussion, and people like Barry might say, no, it shouldn't be, and have the process bang it out and recommend something that's.
I mean, it's really, we're caught between a rock and a hard place because we can see what the future, and we recognize there is a need for this in the future, but we're not there yet as a full-fledged committee
Mhm.
to have a focus on sustainability and energy.
Mhm.
So, you know, my thought was simply just to acknowledge that somehow that either in the title or in the goals or whatever, to acknowledge that we're in a middle space.
Sort of a bridge. You know,
And so we're not there yet, but it would be useful to have, for us to begin to take on the I don't know, the mindset and work towards that.
I just think we need to go outside this committee to ask a question, because I mean, we might have our own opinion. but
Right.
Yeah.
And relatedly, I guess I don't know whether, like, do other towns have like land use committees? So like, this is like in our bylaws. I don't know if there's anything sort of comparable in like the state laws. I mean, because some of the committees have state laws
It should be
associated,
the
and this one
planning
I think
board,
is just, just the town bylaws.
yeah,
And I don't know what other towns do, because we probably are not the only town in this situation. So I guess I'm sort of curious if other towns have this
I know, I don't,
combined.
I mean, it's something we should, I don't think they probably do, but, the land use committee, usually it's like an open space committee, when I go to meetings, that's what they have.
Right,
I
that
don't
would
know.
usually be run by the conservation commission or the planning board, right? Those are the two.
But I'll look into, if there's like a format for land use committee, or if this is something that Mendon just invented,
Right.
Well, we did invent it, right? Because for the CPA money, so we had,
Now, the CPA, that's a separate committee. The Community Preservation Committee,
right, but when did the land use committee start?
before there was a CPA.
Really?
Mhm.
So what's the instigation for starting the land
I
use?
don't know, I wasn't here, but I do know that,
So who was the first chair of the land use committee?
I don't know.
Gonna have to do a little history.
Yeah, I know. I think,
if you would like to find out about that, that would
I
be great.
guess I
It would
will.
be fascinating.
You've been here
yes.
longest.
My sense is it would have grown out either of the master plan, but it was the CPA, because we had to just figure
No.
out what.
No, I'll tell you, I do know this.
Okay.
That, because the first thing I got involved with was the land use committee. And so there were zoning bylaws, and I think that's maybe why it might have started, Chris Noonan was on it. And anyway, so I was on it and I was just kind of learning. But then I realized that, open space was a part of the land use. And so I worked to have, legislation so that Mendon could have a land bank, because we didn't have anywhere to put money. And so we had to have, special, there's a name for it, special legislation just for Mendon.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know what the name of it?
Yeah,
There's a word
yeah.
for it. Anyways,
Yeah, special legislation, I feel like I've heard that term before, but I know, yeah.
so anyways, we went to the state, and we
Right.
got, they voted on it, and then
Yeah.
Mendon had a land bank. And
Okay.
then like 3 years later, the Community Preservation Act came
Okay,
about.
but amended
And
land
so,
bank first.
Yeah, and so that's why we have a land bank and community preservation, because,
It preceded.
right, we didn't know that the Community Preservation Act was ever gonna pass, or, so.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
But I'll look to see if the land use committee, if that's like, if there's a state format for it, or.
Mhm. Well, it would be
Just- just
interesting
see what
also
other
with
towns do.
sustainability committees, if there are sustainability sustainability committees
Yeah.
that encompass something like land use.
Actually, Carolyn, would that be something that you would like to look into? About the sustainability committee, energy committees, land use committees? And if there's any state format for those things,
Okay.
would you do that? That would be,
A state format.
I don't know, I don't know,
It's just kind
Well-
of recognizing as that's kind of
like do other towns have that?
Right.
a community need that committees
Right, so,
generally create in towns.
so for the green communities, there needed to be some committee?
Right, so
Right, so like, I
I've
mean,
Googled it, the land use committee also has been appointed by the select board as the energy committee.
Well,
So,
what happened is that for the green communities, they wanted us to form an energy committee. And I was like, there's no way that we're ever gonna find, especially this was like 20, almost 20, no, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's why we got the formal recognition that, yes, this can be the energy committee too, just,
Mhm.
because to be a green community, we had to have that. And so that's sort of why we have it
Okay.
under our wing at this point.
So you want me to find out, is there kind of a general category of committees and what they are directed to do?
Well, yeah, sort of like a land use committee. Is this something that Brendan invented? And if we did, we can do whatever we want. It could be the
Okay.
land energy use committee,
All right,
you
okay,
know?
okay.
There is guidance on the state website on forming or organizing an energy committee. So there's some pretty on point information if you happen to look at it, and maybe that will give us some direction or guidance on, and most of this talks about a separate energy committee. And to your everyone's point, I don't know if we're there yet, right? We're having trouble filling the existing committees. So I think it's, again, within our purview as it relates to land use, but if it's going to go beyond that, I think there should be some bylaw or authorization, I guess, that we are, it's within our jurisdiction, I guess, to
Yeah.
discuss something, even if it doesn't involve land use. And of course, it expands, the responsibilities, but I think that is the way to approach it. But Carolyn, I think you'll find on the state website there's specific information about organizing an energy committee and how we might be able to fold that into the land use committee if everyone agrees.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take a look.
This is a bit of a tangent, and there were a number of people who were interested in being stewards.
Yeah.
So I wonder if any of them might have an interest in, I don't know.
electricity versus.
Well,
use.
or if anyone, wants to jump ship from land use to energy, if other people want to do land use. But I mean, I know that this committee doesn't have a lot of large members, right? Like it's sort of, right, it's
This one?
this one, the land use, right? Like there's select board and there's
Well, it's actually,
conservation and planning, and then there's you.
right, I'm a nothing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Carolyn's a nothing. There's, and Frank's a nothing.
I'm a nothing.
Right, we're not a.
No,
we're
you're
not
at large, you're not
We're
at
not
nothing.
Large,
Large.
right, like,
We're
so
large.
like, right, so like, I mean, potentially people could shift if they were interested in, you know, if we did wanna have like a separate energy committee and like, I don't know.
And I mean,
Especially like, I just, it seemed like there were a lot of people interested, like, I saw like, I wanna say like 4 emails.
oh, we've had I mean, we're
For
gonna talk about this later, for, the Denton property, I've gotten 7 people that wanna help out.
Wow.
And one of them is already helping another property, and I said, don't worry, we have enough people that have volunteered. And so, and then I just got another email, someone wants to help with the Maple Farm property. So I mean, it could be a good group of people to, you know, ask if they want
Right,
to.
depending like on their motivations, like, you know.
I mean, but, and I mean, and it should be under the energy coordinator right now is Isabella.
Okay.
So
Right.
I guess I still like the idea of adding the sustainability aspect to the land use committee as sort of like a bridge.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and it doesn't,
It's a bridge.
right, it doesn't have to have energy in the name
Yeah.
if it has sustainability, even though the goals could relate to energy.
You know, you all get to make it up. You know, you do.
Right, so if you keep it simple and broad enough, you might get the consensus of this committee. If you try to make it too specific, you're gonna run into, so just keep it simple.
I mean, I
And
guess-
float it up.
I guess the reason I'd like to add the sustainability, because like, I mean, right now we just do it, you know, like as volunteers, but we don't have like authority really. I mean, not that we need authority, because we always work with the select board and,
Right.
you know, the proper channels, but I think it would be nice to have that under the land use committee. And at the same time, you know, talk with Isabella about what she thinks about, you know, having an energy committee. Maybe that's something that she would want to start, and then that would go to the town meeting, and then if it was added to the bylaws, that would be a separate committee that would be added to the bylaws.
But we don't need to make it this year for this meeting, so
Yeah.
let's continue this discussion and let's make the goal for next year to.
I mean, I think including it somehow under the umbrella, it think would be a useful stopgap.
So,
And we'll see what happens, but you know, how the future develops.
Right, but what we have scheduled is a public meeting for the adoption of the plan.
Right.
So I don't think we're ready to change the plan now in order to make this meeting. I don't think there's a consensus on the committee, and we have to draft it and agree with the wording, I would say, before you
yeah.
go public with it.
I do have one little change that on the last goal, it says to help guide business and residential development to shape Mendon's growth, avoiding haphazard development, following the recommendation in the master plan, and now we have a housing production plan, so I'd like to add, and the housing production plan.
Housing production.
Yeah, it was you know, it's pretty, it has a lot of information in it, and it talks about affordable housing, and it coordinates with the master plan, and so I feel,
And
you
it
know,
was, approved by both the select board and the planning board, so.
yeah.
Well, not that I want to complicate it, but could you also throw in something and a green community and maintain our green community standing? So that kind of
Well,
brings it in that way. It's, you don't have to
if you
utilize it.
start talking about green community designation though, then that's actually getting into a state program.
Aren't we already in that?
Yeah, we're already in it.
Okay, so can't we continue it and say that that's what we want to do?
No, because you want to go to the next level.
Well, that doesn't, that's okay, but I want to continue doing my existing job, and if you want me to take it to the next level, then bring that up, but it's in the bylaws that allows us to work towards the, I'm not, yeah.
Okay, I'm just raising the question of the.
I'm trying to give us the authority to work on that. You're trying to give us the goal to go for it. I'm saying, don't go for the goal first. Let us get the authority and then.
No, yeah, we need to get the authority first. I'm just raising the questions. I don't entirely understand the process because I've not been on the inside on all this. So I'm just raising the questions and just saying, let's go for it. And we have to recognize that if we can have some authority to expand what we're working towards is a good thing to do. However you do it, where you do it, in a meeting or in a bylaws or whatever, that's not for me to decide.
One
So,
step at a time.
so I think for
Does that
the
make
5-year, so for the 5-year plan, keep it as is. The only thing I would like to add is, and housing production plan, since that is a new document that we have and that specifically relates to what we're talking about here.
Do you want a motion for that?
Yes.
I move that we modify our existing, not job description,
It's called a 5-year land use
5-year
plan.
land use plan to include the goal of housing production plan.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. No discussion? Okay. All those in favor, we'll do a roll call vote.
Elena, aye.
Peter, I.
Frank, I.
Barry, I.
Okay, and I. Okay, so that's the 5-year plan. The public hearing, I believe, is the first Wednesday at the select board meeting. And
First Wednesday of March. Yeah.
Wednesday in March. Sorry. And I would like to get permission to put something in the free press to let people know about.
You don't need permission.
Well, it takes money.
Okay.
Oh. Don't need permission.
Okay.
Does it really, to get an article in?
Well, it's not, it's sort of like a quasi-public hearing, and so, but I want to put it in so it's not like so boring that no one reads it.
Yeah.
Um,
Put a pretty picture along with it, or I don't know.
Actually, I only have a certain amount of words, I'm just trying to find the email.
So you want a motion to expend up not to exceed
Yeah,
$500 or what's?
Well, I think, like, $250 would
And where's the
be,
money coming from?
it would come from the land use committee budget, which we have,
All right, I make a motion to spend up to $250 to generate publicity for the upcoming public meeting.
Second.
okay, any discussion on that? Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Elena, aye.
Peter, I.
Barry, I.
Frank, I.
Okay, and I. All right. Then, okay, the next and then talking about the general bylaw committee, which eventually I will go to with some information. Maybe we'll talk at the next meeting, we'll talk more about that, specifically what we might change in the latest
Sounds like
bylaws.
fun.
And actually, I'll send the bylaw wording out to everybody so you can look at it too,
Good.
okay? Okay.
So will that be at our February?
Our next meeting.
Yeah. Okay, then the next one is discuss the trail signage at Inman Hill. It just at some point, we need to figure out what kind of signage we want on the trails up there. And I was wondering, working with the Bay State Trail Riders Association, but, I think we need to look at the signs and maybe something about, staying off the hay fields, and if we're naming the different trails or just guiding people. And I was wondering if someone would like to take that on and, bring the information back to the committee. Like Peter.
Well, so we don't have a kiosk. What signs do we have up there now? Parking here?
There is a kiosk actually, but it's not like right where those trails are, there is, so we put a map up. Actually, yeah, that's the other thing too. I didn't even think about that. CMRPC does mapping for us usually. Like usually we have the free hours and, Bill Ambrosino is nice, and the planning board usually lets us have some to do those maps.
So just, I am in general not a fan of signs. They have to have a purpose. So what is the concern that if you feel signs are needed to keep people off the hayfield? That's
Well,
one
keep
thing. What
people off
else?
the hayfield.
Keep people on the trails or
Yeah.
don't do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, keep people on the trails, you know, just so people know where they can walk and, you know, like maybe have names of trails and like on the other open space places, we have like colored trails and names and then like blazes and then.
I'm
Yeah.
fine for blazes and I'm fine for directional signs. Once you get into signs trying to change people's behavior, that's a little more problematic. And so where do you have that? You can't have don't dump here, right? Or
Yeah, you
that's, so it's if there are places where people go, then you put a sign, no fools down the trail. But I would very much support a trail signage system if there's that many trails out there. And then make it nicer, ask Central Mass, or that's a kiosk, right?
Well, there is a kiosk up there, like I said, and it does connect to the trails that they cleared. So I mean, we actually could put
And
it
is
up
it
on
near
that.
where people would park? Because that's where you're gonna get them, right? You're not,
It is
you
really
gotta
near.
get, you know, where's the beginning? Or
Yeah.
maybe there's multiple ways onto the trail, so there's no one site that's
Yeah,
best.
I mean, the trailhead is sort of at the end of Inman Hill Road, but Frank, did you gonna say something?
I didn't, but I will.
Okay.
I kind of agree with Peter. I don't want a surplus of signage on our open space if it doesn't serve a purpose. And I think if there's a trailhead or a kiosk, you know, a map is fine. You know, we have the hike challenge, and I think there was some signage put up there for directions or, you know, color coding trails. But anything on the trail, I see no purpose in naming a trail. Um, you know, and so now we're spending money on signage, and frankly, I think it takes away from the natural existence of the land. So generally, I'm against signage unless it serves an important purpose. I think the map would be important. Someone goes to the trailhead, they look at the map, they take a picture with their phone. I don't see a need to name trails, or, you know, no one's getting lost up there. So, you know, overall, whether it's the expense or the, you know, just cluttering up the woods, frankly, with signage
Yeah,
is what I'm against. Yeah.
I think, I mean, lots of times the trails are named just for identification, you know what I mean?
You
And
can
lots of
name them on a
times-
map, but putting up a sign in the woods that says, you
Yeah,
know, that this is this trail, I don't see any purpose in doing that.
I mean, and this could be something like the Hayfield Trail, you know, and then you have a map,
Yeah, and if that's all contained within the map or the kiosk, fine. You know, at other locations, I think there's something similar. Cormier Woods, you know, you pull up, you see the map.
Yep.
And once you go on your way, you might see some directional arrows.
Yeah.
But you don't see. Now, I took a walk up Cormier Woods last year, and you know, I thought it was fine. I got around fine. So again, I just want to avoid putting up too much signage if it doesn't serve an important purpose.
Yep.
Directional, color coding a map, and so forth. But anything beyond that, you know, I think stay off the fields at the kiosk or trailhead. Yeah, I think we can all understand what that means without having to plant a sign up along the trail that is reminding people of that. So that's my take. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's similar to what we've done in other properties also.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
I think you should just remain with the numbered system and colored system that we have in place. If they need to be refreshed, refresh them. And like Frank said, put a map up on the kiosk,
Yep,
and, you know, that you do it. I wouldn't go out of my way to make more signage.
okay. So, I mean, so I guess the map would be what would be needed. And, work with CMRPC on that. So is anybody interested in doing that?
Who's the trail guide for that, or the steward for that?
You know, we don't have a trail, well,
don't have
actually, it's,
stewards for-
we
we don't
do,
have-
I take that back, it's, oh,
And who's the
Tisha,
one?
Tisha.
Tisha, right? So see if she has an interest. or
yeah, and
some
her,
locals,
like,
or-
son, yeah, but he's not around though.
And then whether it's a Boy Scout project, or, you know, I could let someone else try to,
Okay,
or any of those
And I-
stewards that want elsewhere, say, hey, you wanna help out on this one? 'Cause-
yeah, well, Isabella wants to coordinate the volunteer land stewards, you know, I
Okay.
sort of put the program together, and I loosely, you know, work with the people, they sign, there's like guidelines that we went over in this committee, and they signed it, but she wants to like put something together where they'll work more as a unit, which I am totally for.
Great.
And so, you know, just have a night and have pizza and get ideas from people and have the land stewards be able to communicate with each other so that if there's something at one, you know, site that needs some help, the other ones can help.
This could be a fun thing for someone who wants,
Right.
so let's just try to make it fun.
So, all right. Okay, so I'll move forward, I'll talk to Tisha and also talk to Isabella and then, yeah, okay. All right, and then the next one I said meet potential new volunteer land stewards, the 6 people that volunteered to be on the Denton property. Invited them, well, you saw the emails, I invited them to the land use committee meeting if they wanted to. But I think after the whole Denton project is done, then we would, you know, do something more formal. And then also I want to put something in the free press, which hopefully it would just be like an article, you know, asking for more volunteer land stewards or, you know, using Facebook or whatever for the Maple Farm preserve. Then the next, anything else?
No, that sounds great.
Then the next one is just the Cahill right of first refusal, the property on Harvard Avenue East was brought to the select board, excuse me. And right now, it's not all the property, it's just like 9 acres that were cut out. And so the,
Cut out from what?
there's a 25-acre lot
Yeah.
and
That's under 61A, and
It's under
the
61.
homeowner is selling
just 9
a
acres
parcel.
of it, just
So
9
they're
acres of it.
withdrawing that 9 acres from 61.
Yeah,
So that is the only acreage that the town could buy.
right. And,
So
but there's
what's
a lot
they
of,
gonna do with the other?
that's the thing, the town has a lot of questions, and so they're trying to find out more about it.
Okay.
Like, you know, why is it only a portion, maybe getting a better map, finding out more information. So they're information gathering now, and they submitted the bona fide offer to the town, so if that is a bona fide offer, the clock is actually ticking, and there's 120 days if the town wants to do something.
I guess my only question is, has the property subdivided?
No, it hasn't formally, no.
So the options, so the town's been offered the land, how much of the land?
No,
Just
the
9 acres of
the
it.
town
It's
has
like
the
9
option of first
acres.
refusal, because the developer has, the owner has accepted an offer to sell. And so they have to clear it of 61A, so the town has an opportunity to buy it instead.
But it's not the
Of
whole-
21 acres.
No,
the
not
town-
21, only the
Only
8 acres
just
that he's
done.
carving out.
Right, and so the assessor just is looking into some information just to clarify things,
Hmm.
so.
Yeah, because how can you sell something before it's been created? But that's their issue.
Then the next item is trail grant. Isabel and I are working on a trail for the Maple Farm Preserve and then also Muddy Brook North. And it would sort of connect into Hopedale. So that's one trail grant we're working on. And we hired the Conservation Works group and they walked the trails with us, or the potential trails, and they're going to lay out a route and then give us estimates on how much it would cost to construct the trails. And part of it we're hoping would be like ADA accessible. And And so that's what, we would take that information and then, ask for money for this grant, and that's due February 3rd. And Mendon is also involved with another trail route that's in the bottom southeast corner of Mendon. There's an old rail bed that they want to connect into this larger trail. And so the A&P power plant used to own that property. There's a power plant in Blackstone, and now it's called Vista Corp. So I'm working with them to try to get an easement, and it's really funny because it's sort of like this line on the map, but when you look on aerial views, it's just all trees. And so we're like, how are we gonna find this? And so Isabel and I and some other people from Bellingham and Blackstone went to where, at the end of a road, and then we found it, and it ends up, it is an old rail bed, and it's beautiful. It's like a trailer, it's like tree canopied, it's beautiful.
That's nice.
Tree
So-
canopies, what, you can't see it?
Yeah. So there's a group of people.
So who owns it now?
The Vista Corp, which used to be A&P power
A&P.
plant, and
In Mendon. Yeah, so
in Mendon,
it's
just that
Mendon.
corner there, yeah. And then, but then there's also land in Blackstone and Bellingham, and it connects to a larger trail that goes to Boston, and
Is-
it's pretty cool,
Cool.
So, that's about all I have. Does anybody else have anything?
It's a lot.
Well, someone wanna,
Well, just because we haven't done it, Isabella's been so busy, but I have not met yet with the person on, is it Millville Road or Blackstone Road that had the volleyball court on the open space? So that's still on our to-do list, and it hasn't happened yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're using it now.
What's that?
I don't think they're using it right now.
No, they are not.
I'll make a motion to adjourn if that's appropriate.
Second,
All right, I'll second.
all those in favor?
Elena,
Aye.
aye.
Peter, aye. Doesn't need a roll call vote.
It
There we
does.
go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
sorry,
Frank.
we
Oh, my.
Frank,
had some
aye.
open meeting law
Frank, aye, and
complaints, so like.
All right, thank you all.
Slept, so.
Thank you.
Have a good month, and we'll see you next in February, second Tuesday in February.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
And thank you for taking minutes, Frank.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't know when I can
Thanks.
get them to you, but before the next meeting, so.
all right, sooner the better.
Okay.
That's always
All right.
good, and then you get it done, and then I, can
Right.
fill it out, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Let me stop.
So every vote is supposed to be a roll call vote? You can't just?
If it's hybrid, if anybody is online,
Ah.
it's, so if we were all in the same room, it wouldn't need to be, but.
The audience
if-
is the
if-
members.
Well, if any voting member is online.
Okay.
So
Even
and
one.
if
Yeah,
even
I
one,
can-
and that was actually where we got things, I was like,
You were the one.
I was remote and I was saying, my name, but the other select board members in the room were not doing roll call vote, and that was one of the open meeting law.
Wow, somebody caught you.
Oh, yeah,
You've learned.
so